Big round of applause for the filmmaker himself, Haresh Sood. Come and join me at the front.
Thank you, thank you.
So obviously, compared to the last film, you recorded in 5 different countries with a cast and crew of over 250 people. How on earth did you manage that, and how was that working with such a diverse?
You know, so it was actually a very great experience, but it was also a very challenging experience. You know, I think I learned a lot about people in this film in terms of dealing with people is not easy. And, you know, time management, mood management. You know, one thing I learned when we did the shoot in the winter scene, you know, where it was snowing, so many people turned really nasty. I know that sounds horrible. Yeah, I have never thought people in the cold can become quite, you know, I think I must be made of some sort of like, I don't know what, but I think because I went to drama school and they train us in a way that whatever happens, you are just going to have to perform. So I didn't, but it made me sensitive to that. I'm not saying I wasn't sensitive. Then I realized that, you know, even though we had a lot of warming facilities. So anyway, so that probably was one of the biggest challenges, I would guess. But it was very enjoyable.
I just think also because there was so much that you wanted to get into the film, didn't you? Yeah. And it's really hard to get everything in the short amount of time that we had. But yeah, I mean, you could have made a series, to be honest with you, which would have been amazing. But it was quite a challenge.
So something that you mentioned in the film which caught my attention and really found it quite interesting, I want to know more about, is this eye theory. Haresh, can you tell us more about that, please?
Yes, so I believe, after having done a lot of research, and you've probably gathered now that I came up with this theory. So I think I'm very accurate in this. I know that sounds really arrogant, but I think I am actually accurate. That no, I'm not arrogant, but I'm arrogant about being right in the theory that I think every relationship that we have in our life, whether it's intimate or whether it's friend, there's an infection in that relationship. Whether it's a good infection or a bad infection. And that infection is another I word usually. For example, you know, there may be something that's quite irritating in that relationship, but we keep pushing it under the carpet and then it resurfaces. So if you look at, just for one, well, when you go home, probably not now, but when you look at your own life and look at your intimate relationship, or you look at a friend you're not getting on with, they'll always, you can root it to an I word, I find. So like I mentioned in the film, intoxication, you know, I know couples who, one of them's had a drink problem for years, and that's the issue that's been brewing, but they keep hiding it under the carpet, and that's the infection in the relationship. It's a very simple theory, but it's a very accurate theory, I feel. You know, for example, one of my friends had an immigration issue. That's all the relationship was about. They were trying to get their husband or wife over. That was the infection in there. And that caused so many other I words which flowed from that, which, because they couldn't get them over, that led to infidelity. Do you follow? There were so many things. You know, you can actually root this I theory to lots of personal things. Irritating. I mean, I can't remember who it was in the scene that we shot. You know, somebody said to me, if I'd have known that my husband was going to be so irritating, I'd never have married them. And this is like so many years on. But I mean, I don't mean it necessarily all I words are bad. You know, some are also very good I words as well. But I found, having gone through this journey, for me it was, I found a really interesting theory there, which I'd love for people to talk about more and share more on, really.
Okay. Was there a particular moment or story that convinced you this film had to be made? So we're talking about the idea. Before anything was filmed or any interviews took place, what one thing sort of inspired this?
Okay, what would you think inspired me? I think the breakup inspired me. I think my mum's death inspired me, which is very emotional. And thank you, Manjula and Auntie, for saying all those lovely words. And I want to thank Vinod Auntie, who's sitting there as well, because, you know, my dad's sister was there all the time when my mum passed away. I'd gone see her. She was the only one, and not many people know this, but she's a lovely woman. She's sitting over there. all of these things inspired me, I think. Grief, love loss, I think it's issues we don't talk about. And I learned a lot about myself, how I could have improved. So all of those were inspirational factors. I wanted to share that journey as a 45, now 47-year-old male, and take ownership of it. Why shouldn't I? I'm not your conventional Indian guy. You probably realize. Somebody at the start of the film said to me, the third film about Haresh being married, and I thought, you're right. I couldn't think of anything worse, but. It's not going to be about me getting married. I'm telling you that now, so don't get your hopes up high. But I had a lot of inspirations.
I think from the first film that we did in India, I think that was I think your inspiration from seeing how. If anybody has seen the first film, or hasn't seen the first film, it was all about our niece that got married in Delhi, and it was a really beautiful, amazing, lavish wedding, wasn't it? But I think you saw the other side of it there. Yeah. So that was another inspirational point, I think, because we both did, didn't we? People were asking us, are you married? Why aren't you married? And my sister was the only one that was married, right? So I think a lot of it came from there as well.
Yeah. So I think, in summary, lots of inspirations, lots of great people. I want to say something actually as well. The other inspiration is actually, in the Gita, I talk about the Bhagavad Gita, which is our beautiful holy book. Okay, and in the Bhagavad Gita it says where there will be gain, there will also be loss. So it's the cycle of life. Like people obviously who've read the Gita will understand what I'm saying. Now I say basically where I had the loss, this was the gain. You are all the gain. Because I think when you have loss in your life, you've got to redirect yourself. And I think that's what this journey was about, and that's where my inspiration came from. And this was the gain. And I go by things like that, because I think it's really important to embellish all of those journeys of life. We just don't ask ourselves. We do things in our life which we're just told to do. You get married. Why did you get married? Why? Who told us to get married? Amanda, my friend I'm looking at over there, she says some really great things, like, this whole thing, you're sold this package, that it's going to be happy, hunky marital life. We have a lovely lady, Sonia, here, who celebrated her divorce, which, we don't celebrate what we think is actually a bad thing, but it's actually sometimes a good thing. And as Sarita said, I think my divorce was a good thing. She says that in the film. And I sometimes think, yes, it was very sad what happened, but it's also a great thing to be doing something positive about it and say, some people get really bitter. The scratched record, he did this, she did that. You've got to get beyond that and think actually there's a lot more out there. And it's not just about finding a person. Like, why can't you just be happy by yourself sometimes, I think? People are like, I need to fall in love, I need to find somebody. I'm like, oh, really, get over it, It's like, you don't need somebody to make you happy, Pancho has been the best. I tell you, people say to me in Punjabi, the Punjabi people, they say to me, do you understand this, right? Which means just get married to your dog, they say. Because Indian people are really like, and I wanted to show that, So I wanted to give a platform to, first of all, people who haven't had a voice, which is our age group, our generation, who've gone through this sort of discrimination. Growing up as an Indian male, being told you're really kala, which means you're really black, you're epileptic, which is mirgi in Punjabi, and then they all these things. And I thought, I want to show this. This is what I grew up with. But it's not a bad thing. I think I'm actually really glad I had all these things, because I turned out so different to half these bored married men. Anything you want to say?
No, nothing to that really. Nothing. But everybody's obviously got a different perspective, and we respect that completely. That's just yours.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I do, and I'm not imposing my viewpoint on anybody. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is I found a big call for this discussion. People wanted to talk about these issues in here, but we didn't. Like Manjulanti said, it's a voice for people who are of our generation, who didn't ever get this. Well, there's the married ones who get happily married. Well, happily, I'm not sure, but they get married. But then there's us who are left on the shelf, as Preeti said, but we're not actually left on the shelf. We're seen to be left on the shelf, but I'll be left. I don't see myself left on the shelf. I actually see opportunity. I see enjoyment. I see this. I see so much other. My outlook is different though, and I am not marriage material.
Very inspiring. Another I word.
Oh, there you go.
Listen, I've got a list of questions that are really interesting, but I'll save them for the tour in the new year because we're being told to wrap it up. But one more question before I open it up to the audience. Obviously, you want to thank all 250 people. I'm hoping you didn't fall out with anybody on the. But is there anyone specific you'd really like to thank?
There's a few people I want to thank specifically. Actually, Will Cocker. Will, please come and stand here. Will, right? Will. I must tell you about Will because we met at university at the film school. We both got a distinction. Oh, sorry. We both got a distinction, didn't we, Colin and Saskia? Where are you? You're over there, right? And I'll tell you how I want to just share this experience. So on a Friday afternoon or something, we had a seminar. I did the MA part-time, Will did it full-time. And then there was a summer session where we were called to go and showcase some work that we'd done. I think I'd shot the Diddley Wedding by that point, if I remember correctly. Anyway, I got there, and then we were all showcasing things. I had nothing to showcase because I had nothing ready. But Will's showreel came on. And, I do believe in fate. I knew at that point, that is the guy I want to work with. And that was it. And I also, this loss and gain thing, I always said that I wanted a little brother. I always said this. I always wanted, honestly, I had two sisters. I've got two sisters, sorry. But I always wanted a little brother. And I'm so blessed. I'm honestly so blessed. Will is just so special to me that, we fall out. But that's... Yeah, and it's part of the creative process. And all this thanks and people keep giving me. I feel like it's very nice and I'm really grateful and it's very nice. But something, please? It's not actually me. This is you guys, your effort and Will's effort. Honestly, because it's wrong for me to take the gratitude to say, oh yes, look at Haresh Sood. No, not at all. It's so nice, honestly. My mum taught me that, include everybody and make sure everybody is, part of work you do. And so whenever you come to say congratulations to me, congratulate yourselves and also Will and Sarita and everybody else. So Will is one. And I want to thank Gary Bentley, who's just over there, because Gary Bentley, and I do want to share this experience very quickly. When you put the film on a big screen, it's called DCP, isn't it? It's I don't know what is it digital? Cinema package. So when we went to do the test screening 2 weeks ago, actually, it wasn't. No, last week, actually. The film was out of sync. So the lips you saw were moving before or after oh my God, it was literally like the worst thing that could have happened, isn't it? We spent 1 full week, and I mean 1 full week, not just 9 to 5, all hours. I think I watched the film about 6 times in that period. Yeah, frame by frame to diagnose the problem. And Gary, who did the DCP, was with us. And Gary is a fantastic IT engineer. That's his company. He's absolutely brilliant. And in the middle of a bereavement as well, may I add. And his wife, Gail, who supported it. I'm so great, honestly. This is why I say I'm so blessed. And, I want to thank Bile. Where is she? She's here. Bile. I mean, I want to thank Bile because she held this together. This has all happened today. You've come on time. She kept pestering me, come in the car, where are you? Pancho sat on my lap. That's what happened. Pancho actually wouldn't move from my lap. But anyway, I could keep going on. Ajay Arora, who came with I want to say with the Rolls Royce. I just want to say this one thing. Auntie, who you saw with my mum, the late Mrs. Arora, I want to say something here because the car that Ajay brought me in today, that is Uncle and Auntie's car. And Auntie said to me when she was here, I think this is now after drama school, 20 years ago, she said to me actually when I sat in that Rolls Royce, she said, Haresh, one day you're going to be sitting in this Rolls Royce going to your special event. And it's come true. And what a blessing from Mrs. Arora, I feel so emotional to have this, And I thank you, Ajay, the family. I could the list is endless. So many faces. I'm seeing Rajiv Popat, who's come here from ITV from years. We've known each other, endless. Please don't, if I've missed your name off, please don't think I'm so grateful. And Mandy, I'm looking at because she's always fixing my teeth. I used to eat too much chocolate.
She's the only one who can keep his mouth shut, really, right? So, really, you need a medal, and you definitely need an Oscar for putting up with him. But no, thank you, everybody. So should we open up to?
Yeah. Sorry, I'll be quiet.
So we'll just take one or two questions from the audience. Put your hand up if you've got a question, and someone will come over with a microphone. Up here, Poppy, and just here.
Hello, my name's Suda. So I wanted to ask Haresh his experience of his recent travel on the cruise to Norway and how he connected with that emotionally.
Oh, God. This cruise to Norway was like the holiday from hell we went on. It was actually the last scene which you saw in the film. It was a holiday from hell, but the most comical holiday from hell. The best thing about it was it had a nightclub at the top of the ship called the Observatory, which I called the Obligatory, which I used to take all the Indian uncles and aunties and to get them drunk at night. So that was the comedy bit. But no, jokes aside, it was actually a really emotionally interesting experience. And that's where you saw Lee Hollett, the comedian friend, who gives that last punchline, which is, when the girl says, "No, you live happily ever after." So, so it's been a good experience in Norway.
We've got one more.
Just a quickie. I'm an eternal optimist, Harish, and it seems that you had an amazing connection with Miss Seville. So have bridges really been burnt with her? Is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
The thing is, I think when something ends and you've gone in a different direction, unless you're like Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, who get married after 20 years again, who knows? The future. I always say you don't know what's going to happen in the future, but actually, I think life is also very different now. Things have changed. I've got Pancho. I'm totally I'm a different person. I think that's the other beauty of it. I think you both need to have grown. I have no idea what they're doing now, and I don't also try and reminisce on that because I've took a different direction and I'm enjoying that direction. But Seville is very special to my heart because maybe I should explain this. I studied in Seville. I spent a lot of time in Seville, so I do spend a lot of time over in Seville, and I do on occasion when I go there still feel like, oh my God, But I don't know what to say.
I think she was meant to be part of your journey, and you're here today because of the fact that she's been in your life and a lot of other experiences. So I think take it as a positive, really. And like you said, you wouldn't be who you are if it wasn't for.
I would love Paul Will to say something. Not Paul, sorry. I'd like Will to say something because I'm the little talk.
But yeah, I don't really know. I guess what we started when we made the film felt very different. I think we kind of joked how it was a sort of a dating profile for Ash when we first started filming. But over the months and stuff, it was a real learning process for both of us, and we got to develop the film further. And I'm really happy with what we've just seen. I think we've captured a lot of people's opinions that haven't really been heard before. So yeah, I don't know. It's really nice to be able to watch it with you all. I guess is one thing.
I just want to add as well the perseverance of Will. This is I think why we connect, because we both do. We work really hard. I'm not going to lie. And filmmaking is not easy. I'm telling you. What you see today is an accumulation of 3 years of work. And it's then obviously Mum passed away in the middle. And then, but it's so, I'll tell you an example. So, Will went everywhere with me. We went to all those countries and it was, absolutely brilliant. But there were times I remember we went to a barbecue. My friends invited me when we were in Seville in the daytime. And then we both went and had lots of lovely sangria and sausages and what have you, or whatever, chicken, etc., barbecue food. And then we came back at 2:30, 3 in the morning. And then Will had quite a lot to drink. I don't really drink much because I'm epileptic. And anyway, so Will said to me, I was actually quite amazed. He said, that nightclub scene you saw, That was at like 3:30 in the morning, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. Will said to me, if you, I can't remember how he said it, but something like, if you want to go there, we can go. And I thought, of course, let's go there, let's go. And we went filming at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, and yes. And so what I'm trying to give you an example of is, I think that's why we connect. You know, we both have our tired days, etc. But literally, because, you know, this is a really difficult but enjoyable process, but it's a very intricate process. You know, filmmaking is not like, you know, if you want to just make videos, that's fine. But we wanted to make a film, and as I'm hoping you've like this film, we wanted to make it of a certain quality. You know, this film we wanted to make very different to, you know, the cameras are very high end, the locations are different, you know, everything's very different, isn't it? Anything you want to add? Do you want to say anything?
No, I just think you both have done a really amazing job, to be honest with you, and I really don't know how you've put up with him for so long. I'm going to keep saying this.
I don't know how anybody...
Yeah, you know, in India as well, you were with us. But no, just well done to both of you, really, honestly. Well done.
Thank you, thank you. Anything else from anyone?
We have got to wrap it up, but we've got a couple of questions here.
Just from me, I was here when you did your first film, and also now, and it's a privilege to watch an exceptional film. I'm more curious now for part 3 of your film, because I think there's a nice transition of your life and journey. I've got my own ideas where I think you could be taking it. Do you have any thoughts where you would like to take your third film?
Okay. You know, it's interesting, this question is actually coming from somebody in the law. So this is Gurmeet Kaur, who is one of the senior police officers in Nottingham, and I'm so grateful that she's here. She does such a great job for the South Asian communities in Nottingham. The reason I've highlighted that is about the policing is because I'm a lawyer, as you know, and as you also have probably gathered, I've got a comical eye. So I think there's a lot of comedy to tell in the law. The law can be very boring, but the law can be interesting if I tell that story. And I've got my friend here, I'm looking at Charles Price, the barrister, the handsome James Bond lookalike who's sitting right in front here. He is also somebody we share a lot of comedy stories with in law, don't we? Actually, James Lewis, who's also from Shensmith Chambers, and we laugh our heads off about stories within law. So maybe there could be a story there. With music, of course. There has to be music and comedy.
There's so many questions, but we've got to wrap it up. So another round of applause for Haresh Sood, please. Fantastic, beautiful film. And you'll be able to come back and see it in the new year with friends and family if you want to bring them along.